more monoprop. What still has monoprop? Fortunately, I threw a lot of monoprop in the lander, which is on the moon. But, that's just, that's the way it is. And that's the way the cookie crumbles. Just some light nerve crushing rotation here. No big deal. Oh, why did that cancel? Alright, try that again. We want to finish refueling. That up. Gee, Steve, could you have made this any easier? Yep, could have. But I didn't. Okay, we've almost completely refueled the monoprop on this thing. Now we have. So now this is kind of tricky. See if we can SAS without blowing up the station. Okay, that worked out well. We're just going to undock. I'm going to drift for a little bit. Stop wasting my fuel. Control from here. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna get the second adapter. If all goes according to plan. Okay, switch over to the station. Let's control from one of the main cores. SAS on. Oh. This is super cringy. Yeah, the station is not very stable. I need to watch that a transfer vehicle here doesn't accidentally bump into the station as well. A new piece of station. Okay. There's our wobbly mess as we stabilize. a little bit of playing around with the SAS controls to get this to not completely freak out. As I said, not the stablest station, which is why we're replacing it. Now, in the meantime, how's our rescue lander doing? Still got a while till its maneuver. Okay, so we're good. Let's go ahead and retract this radiator, close these doors, and retract these solar panels. Let's get all that out of the way. So much wobbliness. It's just painful to watch. Okay, but I think we've more or less solved it. Now, once more, we want to control from here. We want to go for this port. So we want to line up this way first for roll, and then we want to line up this way so we don't hit anything else when we're trying to do our dock. This was going to be a lot easier because the transfer craft was supposed to not be docked while we were doing this. And then we had our lost crewmen out on the moon's surface. And plans changed. Out of rotation mode, thank you. There we go. Going to retrieve our docking adapter. I have to turn off RCS for a second there just so it stops wasting RCS fuel for something the reaction wheels can do just fine. So we want to have the target, the pink reticle in between our orange reticle here and our actual prograde reticle here in yellow relative to target. If we do that, we are just dandy. Looking good. Looking real good, actually. Alright. Once more, we got another docking adapter collected from the station we intended to orbit here. So that is good. Now the tricky part, I need this one, which is in between a good section. Yeah, this is gonna get kind of tricky. That might have to wait until we rescue our Kerman and get him back on board the transfer vehicle and on his way. Additionally, we need to deorbit these sections, which means they need their own fuel, which I guess I could very easily give them. Let's load up those now. Now, as long as that section has fuel, it can deorbit itself. It does have its own engines. And that should do fine. So now... does this section have enough RCS to try and get through this? Because I could have this section go and dock with the rear. Don't believe it does. Any RCS fuel we can give it. Which looks like it's about none. That's discouraging. Well, we'd be done using this RCS fuel, so we can dump it in there. Now that we've redocked. We could technically throw it all into this tanker. There we go. That should be enough for us to do some simple maneuvering. Now we do need to stop the rotation though. Need to be careful about that. The station is very asymmetric and very wobbly to begin with. There we go. Ooh, this could actually be kind of tricky. What I really need to do is deorbit this fuel tank and then bring this around. So I need to do that in reverse. Oh, okay. I was not planning that properly. Back in for the monoprop. I'm gonna have to do some fuel transfer out as well there. The stress involved of changing out space station cores. It's lots of fun. While we got a stranded Kerman on the moon, no less. Although so far this is all going fairly well. I guess I shouldn't complain. And our little lander mishap really wasn't that bad considering that I was trying to land on the dark side of the moon and couldn't see where I was landing. So only losing one part really wasn't that bad. Enough to strand it, mind you, but you know, things happen. Okay, I think we've gotten all the monoprop back off of this fuel tanker. Nope, we did not. We got a little left. Looks like we did get the new station core up to full fuel almost. So this, we'll bring it pretty close. Okay. Don't have any fuel in that section, that's good. We do have tons of fuel in there, which is way more than we need. So let's dump that fuel in here. Try and make sure I'm using as little fuel as possible to deorbit all this space junk that we're going to create. That honestly is probably enough fuel to deorbit on. Let's take this one. $39 units of fuel sounds better to deorbit though. Let's dump all that fuel in. We're coming up on the bright side of the moon here. That's good. Okay, let's bring it to 0 fuel. And then 39 units, should that be enough? 39 units. Yeah, I think that'll be enough. And now we'll finally disconnect. This fuel tanker's been with us for a long time. This is actually the fuel tanker that brought the original Valentina Kerman station into moon orbit. But its time with us has finally come to an end. It's even got the radio adapter I had to throw on it because it didn't have its own antenna. Ah, the glory days. So we'll deorbit it. Hopefully to smash into the moon's surface. Yeah, it's looking very good for a lunar impact. Yes, indeed. It is definitely heading for a lunar impact. It'll be fairly close to our SOS beacon at this point, but, you know. All is well there. Transfer back to the station. Okay. Now we have a final adapter to try and pick up with the station. We're going to take this power adapter section and put it on the nose of the new station. And that'll be the new docking port for the transfer vehicle. Whoop. I don't know why that just happened. Oh, I'm not in docking mode. Okay, that would be why. Okay, no harm, no foul. Better we got a good distance anyway before we started to do this maneuver. I'm surprised how much fuel we still have left of this third stage of our rocket as well. This was supposed to be trashed long ago and is still keeping us going, remarkably. Let's line up the craft. So now we want to line up to that front port. And we'll put the crew in the transfer vehicle, dock them to that port, and deorbit the rest of the station. We will be on to Valentina Kerman Station 2.0. Finally replacing this wobbly, busted station. Too far. Too far. Line us back up. Okay. So we'll go linear, RCS on. Still have some correction to do in terms of our aiming here. We're almost out of monopropellant, which is not good. Okay, let's very carefully use the last of the monoprop here to line this up. Yeah, we're really just very low on monoprop right now. I don't know how. We just loaded a bunch into here. We didn't do that much maneuvering. I guess it's from my braking maneuver. Well, I do have other options, thankfully. Might I recommend disable SAS to conserve mono? Yes, that would be a good idea. I do have a tendency just to kind of swap between the two and disabling RCS instead. But I do have a backup plan there, so I did anticipate I would have some kind of issues here with that. So I'm not terribly worried. Worst case scenario, I pump some monoprop from the transfer vehicle into this back section of the station and dock that instead. But, very good point. That is something to constantly be aware of. SAS will burn through your monoprop if you're not, like, ideally balanced. Oop, no, didn't want RCS on that one. Well, speaking of, out of RCS. So let's go with the backup plan. Let's go ahead and throw some monoprop in the back section here. Because really, I'm going to disable all this and deorbit it, so it really doesn't hurt to disassemble parts of the station. The whole point of this is just saving those tiny adapter ports that I wanted to keep. It's looking cool, though. Thank you. I'll take that. Yeah, this thing has been a wobbly, gigantic mess for quite some time now. So I'm looking forward to completely deorbiting all this junk and having our replacement station going. So our transfer vehicle is now dumping monoprop into our station core. And all this just seems so trivial. I got a Kerman stranded on the moon as well. I'm just ignoring the poor guy. Okay, let's make sure I have all my crew out of this thing. Because this is now going to be deorbited once I'm done with this maneuver. That's more like it. It does feel a little strange to sit here and disassemble my station. After all the work it took to slowly upgrade that to make it even close to worth having after our contract completion. But on the flip side, I am very glad to be rid of it after all the Kraken strikes we've had on it. Small docking ports. Don't use them for space stations. That's my advice. Okay, we're looking good now. We can almost start going for docking. So just following that trackball. Again, I want the prograde marker on the opposite side of the target marker from where we are. So I want it basically a line drawn between the two. It's very hard to do when this is very sensitive monoprop. There we go. that worked out just fine. Alright, so the main adapter for the forward port is now installed. It's just, I don't think I need all that fuel for this thing. Let's dump some of it in. No, it's not much. And then let's throw the monoprop into the new station section. And I'll deorbit that that front section. This original core module. We'll load up all the crew and everything else into the transfer vehicle. We won't even need to redock that, really, for the moment. It doesn't really serve us any purpose. I guess it would, if I want to recover our Kerman. I guess I shouldn't give up on him so quickly. We do have our Kerman stuck on the moon. And a rescue lander on the way from Kerbin. Save all this precious monoprop. We've been transferring it around like crazy. Trying to get the best use of it. Make sure we stick to it. All right. That should do. And our original core section. Let me see. I guess this is actually the upgraded core section. This isn't the original, but still the original model. Is ready to deorbit itself. I just like doing that, sorry. Then we're going to go into orbital view. And I don't know if these... yeah, they need to be reactivated. Apologize to everyone in advance because these are about to make a bunch of noise. Alright, and we deorbit this section. Oh yeah, we gave that way more fuel than we needed to. I really didn't think I left this with that much fuel, but I guess I did. Or maybe it's just very light right now. There we go. Another section of station that's going to smash into the moon's surface. memento. There we are. Sometimes Windows gets a little funky there. There we go. Extend the rest of our solar panels. All right. Now, let's get the crew out of here. Who's my pilot out of this, anyway? Eiffel, okay. Nope. I figured I screwed something up there. So we want to move Eiffel over to the command pod here. Now I did learn I did not need that much fuel in this this little bit of station to deorbit it. So probably one tank of these Oscar B will be enough. So I'm going to transfer the rest of this fuel over to the moon transfer vehicle. Take the monoprop out of here. Okay, all that monoprop is empty. Up to where the main engine is that we're going to use to deorbit this. We're going to try and do that quickly because we need to get our transfer vehicle moved over, as we're slowly drifting away at the moment, and that is less than ideal. Alright, transfer vehicle. Pretty much ready to head to the station. Let's set that as it won't literally let us set as its target right now. We're a little ways away. We've got a lot of other craft around us right now, so let's just do a little bit of a blind adjustment here. That should do just fine. Move ourselves over to docking mode. Once we get close enough, we can set it as target. Leaving behind this busted, crappy station. Which we will very shortly deorbit. This is going to be one of those kind of situations where it's like that old saying, like the old riddle, I guess. You know, if you have a sword and you replace the hilt, and then you replace the handguard, and then you replace the blade, do you still have the same sword? You have none of the same original parts. Do you still have the same sword? Well, I think that's what's kind of going on with our station here. We got none of the same piece of the station, but do we have the same station? Line our port up roughly with the incoming transfer vehicle. What color is my Xbone controller? I actually have a multicolor LED. One of those fun RGB LED ones. Why is this naturally going back to pro grade? What on earth? Right now I have it set to orange. It is otherwise black. This has been like the wonkiest way I've ever realigned two targets. Are we close enough that I can set individual ports as target yet? That's what I really need. I can stop doing this craziness. Wow. Where am I controlling this from? Hold on a second. Wait a minute. Ah, okay. That explains everything. Makes more sense now. Now, thankfully, this craft I don't have to worry about monopropellant. This craft has way too much of it. There we go. Finally. Almost there. Want that front port. There we go. Now I can get a feel for what's actually going on here and how much we have to maneuver. Much better. Meanwhile, while this is going on, lander? Rescue lander is still on the way. I don't know why my cat is insisting on curling up amongst a million computer cables right now. She's freaking me out. Line ourselves up a little better. That looks pretty good. We look pretty lined up. So we got our target node right in between our prograde to target and our indicator for our own craft, our horizon indicator. Meaning we should be heading directly towards a rendezvous and a proper docking. Speed up our maneuver a little bit. There we go, should be heading dead on now. Perfect. Not bad at all. So we now have our transfer vehicle docked to the correct port of our new station. We still have fuel left in our, our launcher vehicle, of all things. Somehow. Probably we'll use that to refuel the new lander once we get it back up with our rescued Kerman. Now, our poor old station core here. Get that back down to the moon. Impact it there. And we'll say goodbye to the original core of the Valentina Kerman station. Funny story with that, the station parts we have here, these two parts were, I think, two of the only launches that didn't make it onto live stream because of a dropped stream. Looking like we're getting a lunar impact. Might as well burn through the rest of the fuel. Alright, and our original Valentina Kerman station right here. Originally for the Kerbin station contract and then flown out to the moon. Seems appropriate to watch this one explode, doesn't it? Ooh, there's one of the moon arches, I think. I just managed to see one of those. Oh yeah, this thing's gonna just completely splat. This is gonna be interesting. Let's go normal speed again. Yeah, this thing's gonna have quite the splat. Victory roll. Victory roll for our first 4 moon landings, actually. I think 5 if you count the unmanned from this station. And that's all there was to it. All right. So, everything went totally according to plan there, aside from now the stranded Kerman on the moon. And the major goal of the stream, of getting the space station replaced, is done. So now the secondary objective. Rescue our Kerman. Oh, that's gonna annoy me. I need to fix that. Somewhere in here. It's unnamed our station. So I now need to kind of flip through and find where it's at. There we go. So first I'm going to rename this. So it actually shows up in the menu as a space station. Oh. Oh. Oh, this is the landing probe. I don't know why I named it that. Okay. Well, let's just use this to flip over to it then. There's a retrieval unit. Untitled spacecraft. Okay. That was the landing retrieval harness, which we will need for the lander eventually. So let's go in here. We see rename vessel. Back to a station. Back to Valentina. Kerman Memorial Space Station. Done. As I said, the lander's maneuver is coming up. So we have the lander plus the spare fuel tank that we sent up with it. We will warp to that maneuver. How's our Minimus probe doing? Not bad. Okay. A lot going on all at once. Alright, we got a 21-second burn. So we need to get ourselves lined up, and then about 10 seconds away from a maneuver node, we will start burning. we'll circularize our orbit. Monitor the fuel in the extra tank at this point. That is all that's left. Although we do also have RCS in this as well. Just suppose I might be able to use to, you know, deorbit something, but meh. So almost the lowest point of our orbit, so we can circularize. Alright, there we are. We are through the reserve tank fuel. We might as well take it with us on a descent. Really wish I hadn't bothered to bring so much monoprop on that thing, because it's not going to do me any good. So, we need our... that's our landing zone delta. We need to figure out where we have our stranded lander. Here, SOS. SOS would be where we have our stranded lander. So let's aim ourselves retrograde. Just a moment. Okay. Let's drop things down just a little bit. Get rid of this maneuver node. Drop our periaps down to the 10,000 meter mark. Alright, and then right about here, we're going to go for our landing. We're going to try and get as close to that lander as possible. Okay, pretty close to maneuver now. We're going to let the lander auto-aim to retrograde. Shift the maneuver a little... Whoop, not like that. Okay. Went to shift the maneuver and I shifted it all wrong. Okay. More like that. And more like that. And that. Okay. Now we got a 23-second maneuver. So about 12 seconds away is where we want to start burning there. We are going to take this hunk of junk with us. Or maybe we won't actually. It could deorbit itself with monoprop. That way we don't waste the fuel. Let's get rid of that. Thank you. Now we got a 16-second burn. And we can start right now at 8 seconds away. So there's our target right there. There's our SOS signal. We are once again trying to do a dark side of the moon landing, which is probably not the best idea, considering that's what caused the original one to explode. But the sun is rising, so we have a little bit of hope here. From here on out, it is a matter of eyeballing. Looking pretty good, and that fuel resupply craft is just going to deorbit itself with monoprop later, just to save us on fuel in the lander here, since we have no way to use monoprop in the lander. It's actually made a bad call only overshooting by this much. I should overshoot by more, because we're going to get pretty low to the ground. Auto aim retrograde here. We're going to have to land much further away than I intended because of this. We are coming in pretty hot here. Canceling out our horizontal velocity now, still 4,000 meters up. I believe the land mass here is at 2,300 meters for surface elevation. So we are going to fall our, about 3 kilometers away, so that's not ideal at all. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stability assist switch here. And give us just a little burn this way. So we're going to be landing in a crater here. Thankfully, with the sun coming up, I can at least see a little bit of the ground this time. .3 kilometers away is pretty easy EVA distance there, so that's actually not too bad. Should be okay. On a nice, gentle touchdown. Willing to use a little bit extra fuel, just to make sure this is nice and smooth. Don't know why it's standing on 2 legs. The extended ladder can just kind of push it. Because that just is getting annoying. Can we maybe not do all that? Really, you gotta wobble on 2 legs? It's really a thing you gotta do? Alright, well, it's gonna wobble on 2 legs then. New Newstead's now ready to EVA over to a proper working lander. Taking all the science that we can from this one. So we're going to need to enable RCS. Give him a little jump. Send him on his way. Watch his monoprop quite carefully. And at the end of this, Newstead will have had one heck of an adventure. Having been stranded on the moon. Nice, easy landing. There we go. Not bad, Newstead. Not bad at all. And there we go. A totally identical lander. Just one that's still has its engine intact. Let's see if I can nudge this thing over a little bit. He's trying. He's trying. Actually not doing that bad a job, but, you know, is what it is. Oop, and that was weird. All he did was just go to grab it. That time I didn't do anything crazy. Come on, off you go. There you go. One repeat experiment we needed to dump. And we are good. We're in a working lander. We have enough fuel and oxidizer to get back to orbit. We just need to wait for our... Oh! I was going to say for our rendezvous probe. But it seems to be pretty close. Get just a little closer. And off we go. Leaving the busted lander behind. And heading for our rendezvous. Got a lot of inclination correction to do here. So closest point, I might just do some retrograde to target burn. See what that does for us. Should put us in a pretty good position. Not bad. We get to our descending node. We'll do that correction. And that'll give us some pretty close intersect here. Just a little bit of timing change. Is that gonna mess me up? Apogee 13, parry 4. Yeah, we'll intersect before that becomes a problem. So that should be what I do right there. As we stand now, our periaps is already low, isn't it? Well, that's not good. I need to do a radial shift now. Nope, stop messing with my maneuvers. It does look pretty good. That maneuver seems like a much smarter idea. Bring our periaps far further up, and our intersect will pretty much happen naturally at that point. Right on the descending node, which is even better. So that definitely seems like the thing to do. So we'll just get ready for that maneuver then. Newstead needs that that relay. Well, the game's calling it a relay, but it's a I call it a landing harness. I don't know what to call it out other than that. It's a recovery vehicle that picks this up and brings it back to the station. Otherwise, this vehicle doesn't have the RCS to do it, to dock itself. Instead, that little vehicle does it for it. Okay, there's our maneuver. Not bad. Not bad. Now, right at descending node, we'll want to do a correction. Should work out just fine. So let's warp to there. This very painfully slow warp that we're going to get for being so close to the moon. Just a very dangerously low orbit. It's usually not what you want to look for with orbit. Ooh, what's that? Oh, that's a lunar arch. Just watching to make sure I'm not coming across any mountain ranges that would be dangerous at this level. Because we could very well run into a mountain at this point. This is a very low orbit. Oh, there we go. Time warp. It means we're in a higher altitude. safer altitude. Another 1 second maneuver coming up. Pass over some of the earlier landing sites as well. Those are the green blips down below. My wonderfully mistyped alpha landing site. Oh, and there's our probe that we wanted to connect to. Oop, and a little bit of lag. Excellent timing. There we go. So now we want retrograde to target. Let's just start doing this the easy way, since we are so close already. Now let's aim at target. Here's our landing site, Bravo, coming up as well. Time up this a little bit. I didn't realize I was going to set such a slow approach. The thing with orbital mechanics is if you get across a half orbit, you're basically back to reversing whatever you just did. So you get closer on the first half of the orbit and then further away again. So you gotta do constant maneuvers here if you want this to work properly. So we're about to cross that point where things will not be fun. And that thing seems to be very dangerously close to that mountain range, doesn't it? Seems fine, I guess, from its point of view. From our point of view, it just looks crazy dangerous. So we'll equal target's movement. That'll save us from having that issue I just talked about. And then we will aim once more. Oh, unusually long stream tonight. Couldn't leave Kerman stranded on the moon. I can't do cliffhangers. Okay. Now we want to aim for the correct port. Now this little section is automated, and again it has all the RCS fuel and RCS ports. Wonderful. Yeah, we're a little bit misaligned, but that's fine. Now we can work on re-rendezvousing with the station. Which looks like we'll be a little bit. Because we're ahead of it on a lower orbit. Okay. That's fine. Switch to the fuel resupply craft. Deorbit that, like I promised. So I don't leave space debris. So what we want to do now on this guy, we want to aim at prograde. Since I only have braking RCS thrusters, I don't have forward RCS thrusters. Prograde. And I will do docking mode, RCS, and I will do braking. Go, decelerating. Well into the point where we'll have a lunar impact. That was a pretty good time to bring this fuel tanker out of retirement, I think. That one last moon rescue was pretty useful. There we go, out of fuel. Alright, we thank you for your service, Mr. Fuel Tanker. You did well for us. And sacrificed yourself for science. Alright, now. Our relay network to Minmus we launched today is still a long time away. Our second probe we launched on Thursday, is still not quite there. Peanuts or fire? Hello. Thank you for joining. Alright, explosion time for the fuel tanker. And then I'll work on getting our Kerman back to the moon station before we call it a night. Oh yeah, this is gonna be Hey, a little part of it survived the first impact. Actually, the core did. Wow. Okay. The core, some of the solar panels. Look, it even righted itself. Well done. Well done, little probe. It's actually got quite a bounce on it. That's kind of fun to watch. I shouldn't enjoy that much. Let's see, we got the space station. Still not anywhere near a good position for the lander to go rendezvous. So let's go back to watching this sucker. It's weird, it doesn't... Oh, okay, yeah, that's why it wasn't letting me control anything, of course. Let's see if I can, there we go. I'm gonna aim the tank itself down a little bit. Let's see if we can do another bounce. Can we bounce again? Can it bounce? Oh! 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 It just refuses to die. Look, there's some of the debris way out there. Oh my god. Alright. This little probe wants to live. This little probe core. We're gonna try and land antenna side down. Just a little more bounce. Aww. It tried so hard. Oh, I'm a sicko. Alright. We're gonna have some fun with time warp. Although I hate to use time warp. We want the reusable lander that isn't currently stranded. Ooh, Adventurer 1 is back in radio contact? Nice. Come on now. There we are. Alright. Now, matter of getting Newstead home safe. We're going to get to Apogee and prograde a little bit just so I can time warp more. We only need a tiny little boost. Just like that. And we'll stay above 10,000 meters. Which will enable 50 times warp. And because we're on a much lower orbit than the station, we're going to orbit the moon much faster. That is to say, we'll be going at a lower speed, but we will be completing each orbit in less time. That is one thing that gets confusing with orbital mechanics. If you want to take longer to orbit a body, you actually have to accelerate. So you need to accelerate to slow down in terms of orbit completion. So if you want to naturally catch up to something, like we are now going for catching up to it, being on a lower orbit is actually ideal. Because while you're going slower, you're creating less time before your next rotation is complete. If that makes any sense. Getting there. Need to catch up to the station. Normally we don't have this much of a disparaging difference. But unfortunately all that time delay of being stranded on the surface on the other lander kind of put us out of position. Now, I do still have a retrieval unit. I could have maybe sent that down and tried to pick up the lander. But where it's already got the missing engine, it's kind of junk now. Okay, we are almost to where we want to start doing our maneuvering. Intersect. 0.4 looks good. Oh, that just made it worse. Made it better than worse. There we go. That's more like it. So once more, we got a 1-second burn. That'll line us up. Let's thrust limit us down a little bit. Just make it easier to time. So we're not just doing 1-second burns that we can't possibly screw up by the tiniest amount without it causing us all kinds of grief. Alright, and then we're going to time warp until we're 2 seconds away from our maneuver node. So we will even out our 4-second burn across it. A little bit of a correction. Point 2 intersect, checkmate, I'll take that. Come right around. So we're 1 minute away from our closest intersect. Aim retrograde to target. We're barely moving relative to the target. In terms of orbital velocity, anyway. In reality, we're moving very quickly. But everything's relative. Alright, there's our new docking ports we want to try and attach to. Alright. So now that we actually have a station that's not quirky as all hell, let's see if we can't assist the craft a little bit in lining up with a roll maneuver. Oh, the docking port, please. The docking port. Thank you. Control from here. Not bad. Do need to go into rotation mode for a second. Help line up. There we are. Oh, we do need SAS for this part. Alright, coming in for our final docking of the night. sure we're all nice and lined up here. And this is why we kept all those adapters. We had 2 now. we were going to have 1 for each lander, since we had another lander already in Kerbin orbit. We were planning to bring over as a spare. But turns out we needed it right away. We didn't get a chance to even dock it yet. And we already had another stranded lander. So sometimes that's just how things go. There we are. Not bad for a day's work. So we got a new Valentina Kerman station up. We kept only just a few adapters from the original, deorbited all the rest of it. We do need to send new fuel tanks up and dock them on the outside ring here, just to keep the mission going. In the meantime, we will probably move everything over to the lab. And we might bring over an Expedition 2 crew. I'm not sure if I should bring back Expedition 1 first and then bring back Expedition 2, or what I'm going to do here. Because really the capacity here is only for 4 crewmen. But anyway, all said and done, not bad. Lunar Rescue, new station. We've got a relay network on the way to Minmus, so we can start putting infrastructure there, put a new station there. Overall, pretty good. So, thanks everyone for watching who watched. If you want to check out all our previous streams, you can catch those on youtube.com/JediCallYouBro down there at the bottom. And as our slogan says, we promise it's slightly more entertaining than watching paint dry. Thanks again, and good night.